Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. So, when do you know when it's time to hire? That question.
Did you have more that goes along with that, Bill?
You paused too long between all your words that you thought you were done.
It's part of my style. I'm trying to get where it's okay to have silent space.
Maybe it's not. I'm interested in finding out why we're having to go individually instead of our regular Zoom room. What happened? I was
Okay,
on call.
like I said, that question and many more. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We are Carolina Capital Management. I'm Bill Fairman. Wendy is below in the bottom. She takes up a whole half a screen because she's very special. And Jonathan is to my right or left, depending on if you're upside down while you're viewing us.
Whether you're viewing us from a mirror or not.
Yeah.
That's right. So thank you for joining us for Passive Wealth Show. Don't forget to subscribe, share.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. Yeah. Like all that good stuff. Our website is carolinahardmoney.com. If you are a borrower in the Southeast, click on the Apply Now tab. If you're a passive investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. So it's been a interesting beginning of the week, wouldn't you guys say?
In what way do you mean, Bill?
I'm seeing little bits of spring happening.
Oh, we've got cherry trees that are blooming already. Yeah. It's amazing. I'm loving it. Thank you, Lord.
The one thing that discouraged me was during a rainstorm, I noticed the yellow pollen rings around the puddles.
Well, take the good with the bad.
So that means my car is going to be constantly dirty and I'm going to have watery eyes and runny nose for a while. The older I get, the more susceptible I get to the effects of pollen in the air.
Mm-hmm. Sucks.
So the reason we're all joining you guys separately is at the last minute, we had a computer crash in our large conference room where we were getting ready to do our annual meeting. So I had to pull the computer out of our studio and then order a new one to replace that one. And I forgot all about it and I didn't go in and test it beforehand. And our really nice camera makes us look really tall, and which probably would have been good because it also made me look a lot thinner. But it just didn't look right. So off to our own desks, and I'll mess around with it later.
In short, technical difficulties.
Yes.
Thanks for the story, Bill.
Well, unlike Wendy, I heard Wendy today on a call, and she says, "Yes, I agree with you, and the only difference is I would have used a lot fewer words." That made me crack up. So.
Just show me the baby. I don't want to hear about the labor pains. Just show me the baby.
Before we get started, I would like to go over some breaking current news. Okay, so weekly we try to update you on employment numbers and stuff that has to do with banking, real estate investing. I did want to mention that in our area we have a homes. It's called American Homes for Rent, which is a rental only. They build subdivisions to rent. They've just recently opened up their 6th subdivision in the Charlotte market. This happens to be in Belmont, which is in a different county from Charlotte, but close enough. It's in the same MSA. 83 new homes that are going to be available for rent. And again, this is their 6th subdivision for rental single family homes in the Charlotte market. It's turning into a pretty big business there's another reason why we're having a hard time with not enough inventory for people to purchase. Builders are building them to rent them out.
Yep.
And they're not available for
Which
purchase.
is it's a great new market. A lot of big builders are getting into that.
Yeah, well,
it's a great strategy. It just doesn't help with the inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at some point they may be for sale, but we don't know when. We also thought that after the big hedge funds came in and bought up all the existing inventory after 2008, but that hadn't happened either. They just want more. So they can't find any existing to rehab and rent. So what are they doing? They're building whole subdivisions, which makes more sense because from a maintenance standpoint, you have stuff that's a lot closer, and it takes a lot less money to maintain properties that are closer together. You're not driving all over town to do that kind of stuff.
Anyway, what were the numbers you were going to talk about? Fewer words.
Am I using too many words again? So, unemployment, new applications for unemployment came in around 745, and that's 745,000. They were expecting 750. So it's a little bit less than they were expected. It's still about the same as it has been ongoing for months and months and months. 4 million continuing claims, and then we still have 19 or so unemployed, but I guess they've run out of benefits. So only 4 million continue to receive benefits. And then mortgage applications are up 5% from
purchase or
this time
refi, or is
last
that
year.
all together?
Everything.
Everything. Okay.
Yeah. And purchase applications are actually dropping a bit. And again, it's not because people don't want them. There's just not enough inventory out there.
Right.
And that's going to be an ongoing problem. At the same time, it's going to be an opportunity. It's going to be a problem because home prices are going to continue to go up as long as inventory is tight. And it's hard to build because commodity prices keep going through the roof.
Right.
I think we discussed 78% of lumber prices. I had a conversation with, and again, this is anecdotal, but steel prices are going up too. There was a guy doing some wrought iron fencing, and he said that his prices are quadrupling on the materials. So,
well, to the fact that the employment numbers really aren't changing all that much, and the benefits are running out, that's an opportunity for business owners, small business owners, and some of the larger companies too, because now we can really be more picky about who we're hiring and even what we're paying. So that could be a good opportunity for the small business world. I know in our short-term management company, we're looking for cleaners and put an ad out. My assistant, Wendy, yes, I have an assistant named Wendy as well. She put an ad out, and in the first 24 hours, she had 83 applications, and by the next day, it was up over 120. So she actually had to pull the ad, and it was just amazing the amount of people who were applying for that part-time cleaning job, weekends only, a part-time weekends only cleaning job. So it's
I mean, if you think about it, if your kids aren't in school, they're learning from home, it's harder to get that full-time
right
work during the week. And on the weekend, the spouse can keep an eye on the kids while somebody else is out doing some part-time weekend stuff.
Right.
That might be a good opportunity there. Do you have anything to add on that, Jonathan?
No. I mean, I think, there's, computer just came on. Okay.
You have a ghost.
I know. I think there's a lot of opportunity when we're handed tough situations, when the world's handed tough situations, countries, states, people, individuals, like there's always the silver lining to it. And, while there are a lot of high unemployment numbers, it does allow for an opportunity for those people who want to make a move, who have the skills to do something a little bit more. Companies are more willing to hire them now than they were before. More willing to, to make those moves. And I mean, we saw that from, basically 1 month after the pandemic, and it's still continuing now. I mean, I have, a lot of colleagues on LinkedIn, and I mean, it's amazing. I bet half of them haven't had a job change in the last 12 months. I mean, it's
or have not.
What's that?
Have or have not.
Have.
Okay.
Yeah. So moving to another company for whatever it is, better benefits, more money, better opportunity, whatever it is. Now, when they move, it opens up opportunity for other people to fill the spot that they left.
That's
so, there is opportunity out there. It's, I think it seems bleak for a lot of people, but I think there is opportunity there if you're looking and you're willing to do the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes you just have to change the sector that you're in too.
Yeah. If you're in hospitality, I mean, maybe
time to move on.
maybe switch it up for a little while. Hospitality will come back. We know it will. But yeah, maybe switch it up just a little bit.
Yeah, I've been talking to a few people who have been flying just recently, like this past week. And what I'm hearing is that the airplanes are full now. So maybe they'll start adding on more routes, getting back to where they were on that. So
charging us more now.
Yeah.
The tickets are going to go up again.
Yeah.
Because what was it, Bill? You did a round trip from here to Texas to Florida and back for, was it $300?
I think it was like 267 or something like that.
I mean, that's just like,
yeah, it's crazy. We had an opportunity for round trip tickets at one point to Philadelphia from Charlotte for $58.
wow.
Doesn't get much better than that.
By the way,
it's amazing they can offer those prices in a pandemic with, everything going on. But when things are good, the prices are 10 times that. It's like,
Right.
man,
Right.
well, I didn't take advantage of that price point because I didn't want to sit with the goats and chickens. So I prefer being next to people on my flights, or not.
yeah. And
It's not farm animals.
to go back to what Wendy and I were talking about, is a good segue into our ugly question.
Yep.
It's,
Before we're not bringing up the ugly question yet, right?
Why not?
Because we have fancy graphics.
Okay.
oh, yeah, I forgot.
So,
So now, Bill,
now
will you
it's
bring up our
time.
ugly
Let's
question?
talk about the ugly question.
Sounds
Yay.
awful.
All right. Back to you, Jonathan.
Yeah. So when you have someone who's left or whatever it is, a company, you have a position available or multiple positions available. What do you like? Do you hire somebody in person to come in and fill that void? Or do you outsource whatever that task was? And how do you know when and what to do? Like that's, we were faced with that. Like we had to go through that.
Mhm.
Wendy, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, we but I guess it was in April of last year, after we had pretty much sent everybody home, and we actually laid people off for a little while, but we were still doing a few loans during that time, just for a few months, and we lost our underwriter. And I really thought that was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to us, is that our underwriter left us and went to a job offer that was, offering her twice as much as we were. So I thought that would be scary, but it turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened, because we were able to outsource portions of her job. And, one of our team members that's already here was able to step up into that position. And since then we've hired more outsourced help, virtual assistants that are just excellent. I'm thrilled with the people that we have on our team. We've kissed some frogs before we got to the right people, but I'm thrilled with the people that we have on our team, and the different positions that they're able to fill. Just last week we had our yearly meeting, a 2-day meeting, and we were able to have virtual assistants from the Philippines join us in those meetings and be a part of that meeting. And I thought that was really, really cool because it's just like they were here. It was great. It was great. On the other hand, there are certain things that you really have to have somebody here in an office, which is why I also was able to hire Wendy, my new mini-me.
So quite literally.
Yeah. So it's it really depends on what the position is and what those needs are, and what can they do and what can't they do if they're here in the office or not in the office, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me a year ago and said, "Is your underwriter position, is it a position that needs to be in person in the office, or can it be virtual or farmed out or whatever the case may be?" I would have told you it's in person. It's in the office. I need to be able to talk to that person. I need to be able, we need to be able to have face-to-face interactions, and here we sit, and there's probably, I would say, 80% of our underwriting is outsourced. I mean, the final 20% has to come to Wendy, me, or one of our team members here, but for the final approval. But most of it's done outsourced, and it's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the thing about being a private lender is that it's hard to put underwriting in a box. When you're doing conventional loans, it's a lot easier to say, if it doesn't fit into this box, then we're not doing it. And you have a lot of contract underwriters that work from their homes. On a conventional consumer mortgage, you have a computer that's doing almost everything. The only thing the underwriter is doing is, once all the documentation is in, is they're just double checking it and making sure that that documentation is what they actually need, and it provides the proper information. But we found out that while private money is a little bit more nuanced, there's only really a pretty small percentage that has to be discussed, or looking more at the big picture, that is not involved in being able to put it in a box. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Maybe. I'll have to watch it again and make sure.
Well, by the way, since you said that, this episode will be recorded permanently in 24 hours.
Yeah, but I mean, there are positions that is it's a tough question. Like, how do you know what needs to be in person? Because I'm a firm believer with the in-person hire, the person who's in the office. There's this intangible that comes out of that, and that intangible is this level of creativity and bouncing things off of each other that you don't get via Zoom, you don't get on email, you don't get it there. So there is that intangible. Now, does every position need to create that intangible? No, it does not. There are positions that, in my opinion, that are more, I guess, task oriented and more, like just kind of, I don't want to say repetitive, but there are repetitive features to them. And, those are the ones that are easily outsourced. There's a process and a procedure for those. If this, do this, then that. Like, that's something that you can farm out. Something like what Bill or Wendy or I, like, if you need somebody who needs to look at a project or an opportunity and say, well, here's how we do it. That's not something that you can probably farm out. You can't farm that piece out. So when you create your core group, which is, for us, our core group is Wendy, Bill, myself, and then our accounting team honestly could work remotely. They don't have to be here. But if the three of us are in the office working together and bouncing things off of each other, I feel like things will move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you have positions that don't necessarily need that intangible of creativity, those are probably the first ones I would look at to outsource.
Well, I still think, and I agree with you on the creativity, and it's nice to have somebody around that you can bounce stuff off of and pick up things that you wouldn't be thinking of. I think if you schedule regular video meetings throughout the week, your teams have an opportunity to collaborate a lot easier. And especially if you're doing tasks or trying to accomplish certain goals and you're doing it through a Google Sheet where they can collaborate, at any time. It's kind of like text messaging each other. It's not exactly the same as being right there with somebody and hearing their conversations, but it helps. It goes a long way. It has been pretty helpful for us. And I'm sorry we're getting here close to time, but time to hire, time to outsource. It's very subjective depending on the needs that you have. I can't hand a pile of envelopes and say, could you take this to the post office for me? That's not something you can outsource. But there's a lot of positions that, and we've learned this from COVID, that can be done from home. And still be very productive doing it as well. And that's why the commercial real estate is starting to go down in value.
Well, and I want to say, like, there's almost no position that can't be remote or outsourced that probably won't be adequate. But it's probably not as good as if you were in person. So, like, if Wendy and I were working remotely, from our respective homes, and we were working on things, would we get things done? Would we get loans closed and talk to people? Absolutely.
Probably more.
I mean, maybe more, but maybe, I don't know. But kind of that intangible where, she walks into my office or I walk into hers, we talk about something and it sparks a whole nother conversation, something else that either helps us become more creative on a loan that we were looking at that we thought we couldn't do, or changes the, a decision that we're going to make on something else. Like there's just that piece. So I think, can we do those things from home? Sure. Are they as good? Is the product as good? I'm not sure it is. Is it adequate? Yes. But could it be better? And I think, it could be.
Remembering when you're building a team, done is better than perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can always work on and make sure that they're tweaked as they go along, but we only have a minute left, so I got to get in all my plugs. Wednesday with Wendy. If you're over here in the chat, you can see the links to that. Our next show is coming up. There's a link to that as well. We're going to do a deal or no deal. So we're going to compare some deals and see which ones you like. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, hit the bell, all that good stuff. We are a lender in the Southeast. CarolinaHardMoney.com is the website. If you're a borrower, click on the Apply Now tab. If you're an investor looking for passive returns, click on the Accredited Investor tab. We will see you either momentarily or next week.
Whichever you choose.
That's right. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, Sharub.